The Galactic Council majors tried to break us. Instead, they forged a legend. Commander Alex Mason stood at the viewport of the USS Defiant, watching the massive space station grow larger as they approached. Nexus Station, home of the Galactic Council, was a wonder of alien engineering, a spinning ring of metal and crystal that gleamed like a jewel against the darkness of space. Quite a sight, isn't it? Dr. Olivia Wright joined him at the viewport. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her eyes reflected the starlight. Beautiful and intimidating, Alex admitted. Just as planned, I'm sure. The two had been chosen to represent Earth in this historic first meeting with the Galactic Council. After decades of deep space exploration, humanity had finally been noticed by the galactic community. The invitation had come suddenly, a signal detected by Earth's outpost on Europa, offering Earth a chance to join the interstellar community. Final approach clearance granted, announced the pilot over the intercom. Docking in 5 minutes. Alex turned to Olivia. Ready to make history? She nodded, her expression serious. Let's just hope it's the good kind. The USS Defiant slipped into the docking bay with barely a tremor. A delegation waited for them, a mixed group of alien species unlike anything humans had seen before. At the front stood a tall reptilian being with scales that shifted color in the light. I am Ambassador Srel of the Voth, the alien said in perfect English. Welcome to Nexus Station. Alex and Olivia led their team of 12 humans, scientists, diplomats, and military personnel down the ramp. Each had been chosen for their expertise and ability to handle the unknown. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we thank you for this invitation, Alex said, following the carefully prepared diplomatic script. Ambassador Srel made a gesture that might have been a smile. The council majors are eager to meet you. This way, please. They were led through vast hallways filled with species of all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human. Others were so alien that Alex couldn't tell which part was their face. Olivia whispered names to him as they walked, names she had learned from the preliminary data package sent to Earth. The blue ones are Solari, energy beings. The furry ones with 4 arms are Pantherans, and those insect-like creatures are Narsians. The council chamber was a vast amphitheater with 7 large thrones positioned at the front. Each was occupied by a different alien species, the council majors, as they called themselves. Hundreds of smaller seats filled the rest of the chamber, occupied by representatives of what Alex assumed were lesser species. Humans of Earth, boomed a voice from the central throne, occupied by a Voth larger than Ambassador Srel. I am High Archon Zex. We welcome you to the galactic community. For 3 days, the negotiations seemed to go well. The humans were given tours of the station, shown technological marvels, and treated to elaborate meals. The council expressed interest in Earth's resources, particularly its water and biodiversity. In return, they offered technology and access to interstellar trade routes. On the 4th day, everything changed. We cannot accept these terms, Alex said firmly, standing before the council. Earth will not surrender military autonomy over its colonies. We are willing to trade, but not at the cost of our independence. A murmur ran through the chamber. The 7 majors exchanged looks. Perhaps you misunderstand your position, said the Narsian representative, her mandibles clicking. Your species is primitive. Your inclusion in the council system is a privilege, not a right. Olivia stepped forward. With respect, we've studied your charter. There is no precedent for demanding military concessions from a new member species. The Quell representative, a floating crystalline structure, flashed with red light. Humans show the same arrogance that has marked their rapid expansion. They must be controlled before they become a threat. Alex felt a coldness in his stomach. This wasn't a negotiation. It was an ultimatum. The High Archon raised a clawed hand for silence. The council has decided. Earth will be placed under quarantine until humans learn their proper place in the galactic order. All trade, travel, and communication with Earth will cease immediately. Council enforcers will ensure compliance. This is outrageous, Alex protested. We came here in good faith, and we allowed it in good faith that humans would recognize their position in the natural hierarchy, replied the Archon. You may return to Earth with news of our decision. A flotilla will follow to establish the quarantine. As guards moved to escort the human delegation out, Olivia caught Alex's arm and whispered, "We need to access their data center. I noticed something during the tour, inconsistencies in how they've treated other species." Alex nodded slightly. As they were led away, he stumbled against one of the guards, creating a distraction while Olivia slipped down a side corridor. They met again an hour later, at their ship. Olivia's face was pale. "We need to leave." "Now," she said, pushing a data chip into his hand. "I accessed their historical records. Earth isn't the first world they've done this to. The quarantine is just the first step. Next comes resource extraction, then population control. They've done it dozens of times." Alex stared at her. "Are you sure?" "Completely. And they know I accessed the files. Security is on the way." They barely made it to the Defiant in time. As they rushed through pre-flight checks, alarm bells began to ring throughout the docking bay. "Seal the airlock," Alex ordered as he saw armed guards rushing toward them. The ship's engines roared to life just as the first energy blasts hit their hull. The Defiant broke free of its docking clamps and shot out of the bay, rocking with the impact of weapons. "Fire. Set course for Earth, maximum speed," Alex told the pilot. "We need to warn them." As the Defiant accelerated away from Nexus Station, they saw several Council warships beginning to give chase. "We'll never outrun those," Olivia said, her voice tight with fear. Alex's mind raced. "The asteroid field near Proxima Centauri. We can lose them there. That's insanely dangerous. So is going back to Earth with those ships behind us." Alex took control of the navigation system. "We need time to analyze what you found and develop a plan." As the Defiant changed course and accelerated toward the asteroid field, Olivia began examining the stolen data. "Alex," she said after several minutes, her voice barely above a whisper, "according to this, they don't just want our resources. The Council majors have been looking for a new servant species. The quarantine is designed to break us, to make us desperate enough to accept any terms." Alex looked at the images on her screen. Other worlds that had suffered the same fate, populations reduced to little more than slaves. "Well," he said, his jaw set with determination, "they're about to learn something about humans. We don't break easily." As the Defiant disappeared into the asteroid field with Council ships in pursuit, neither Alex nor Olivia could know that this moment would mark the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge and its finest hour. The Galactic Council had tried to break the human spirit before it could cause trouble. Instead, they had ignited a flame that would ultimately change the galaxy forever. The Galactic Council majors tried to break us. Instead, they forged a legend. 5 years had passed since the Galactic Council declared Earth under quarantine. The planet struggled under harsh restrictions. Council ships patrolled Earth's orbit, shooting down any vessels that tried to leave the atmosphere. The reptilian Voth and insectoid Narsians had established bases on the moon and had puppet governments in key cities across Earth. Jack Rivera adjusted his worn leather jacket as he walked through the crowded underground market in what used to be Chicago. The city above had been bombed during the initial resistance, but underground, humans continued to live and trade in secret. "Fresh vegetables from the hidden farms," a woman called out. "Get them before the Council takes them for their own." Jack ignored the calls of the vendors. He was here for something else. At the far end of the market, he knocked on a metal door with a specific pattern. 3 quick, 2 slow. The door opened slightly. "Password?" asked a gruff voice. "Stars don't belong in cages," Jack replied. The door swung open, revealing a small room filled with communication equipment cobbled together from salvage parts. A man with gray hair and a scarred face nodded at Jack. "You're late, Rivera." "Sorry, Carl. Council patrols were heavy today. I had to take the long way." Jack pulled a small package from inside his jacket. "Got the medical supplies you asked for. Had to trade my last bottle of real whiskey for them." Carl took the package gratefully. "Worth it. We've got wounded from the raid on the council supply depot. He paused. There's someone you should meet. She came in yesterday. Says she has information that could change everything. In a back room, a woman sat hunched over a makeshift computer. Her fingers moved rapidly across the keyboard, her face illuminated by the blue light of the screen. She had short blonde hair and intense eyes that didn't look up when they entered. Samantha Reeves, Carl introduced her. Her parents developed communication tech that could bypass council monitoring. They were killed for it. And you finished their work? Jack asked her directly. Samantha finally looked up. Not just finished it, improved it. I can get messages off planet now. She stared at Jack. You're the pilot, right? The one who still manages to slip through the blockade sometimes? Jack nodded cautiously. When I'm lucky, or crazy. I need to get to Mars, she said simply. Jack laughed, but it died quickly when he saw her serious expression. Mars is heavily guarded. The council knows we have people hiding in the old colonies there. That's exactly why I need to go. Commander Mason is there. He's been building a resistance network, but they can't coordinate. Without secure communications, I have what they need. She tapped the device connected to her computer. This can link all resistance cells across Earth and the colonies. Mason? Jack leaned forward. Alex Mason? The diplomat who first met the council? He's still alive? Carl nodded. Barely escaped when they tried to kill him. He's been operating from the old mining base on Mars, gathering intelligence and planning. Word is Dr. Wright is with him too. Jack ran a hand through his dark hair, thinking. Commander Mason was a legend among resistance fighters, the man who had warned Earth about the Council's true intentions. If he was organizing a united resistance, it would be a suicide run, Jack said finally. But I might know a way to slip past the blockade. I discovered a blind spot in their sensor network last month. The next morning, Jack led Samantha to a hidden hangar outside the ruins of the city. Inside sat a small battered spacecraft. The Phoenix, Jack said with a hint of pride. She doesn't look like much, but she's fast and her heat signature is modified to look like space debris. Samantha ran her hand along the ship's hull. Will it reach Mars if we don't get shot down first? They launched during a dust storm, using the interference to mask their takeoff. Jack's hands moved confidently over the controls as they slipped between patrol routes. Tell me about this communication system of yours, Jack said as they left. Earth's atmosphere, keeping the ship at minimal power to avoid detection. It uses the Council's own network against them, Samantha explained. Their ships communicate on quantum frequencies. My parents found a way to piggyback signals onto those frequencies without detection, but they needed access to a council communication hub to fully implement it. Jack glanced at her. And let me guess, there's one on Mars? She nodded. In the council outpost near the main colony. My plan is to get close enough to hack in and upload my program. That's, Jack searched for the right word. Ambitious. Got any better ideas? The journey to Mars took 3 days of tense flying, hiding in asteroid shadows and drifting with power systems nearly off to avoid detection. When they finally approached the red planet, they picked up an encrypted signal. Unidentified vessel. Identify yourself or be destroyed, came a voice over the radio. Jack hesitated, then responded. This is Jack Rivera. I'm carrying Samantha Reeves with technology that can help the resistance. We're looking for Commander Mason. There was a long silence. Then, proceed to coordinates being transmitted. Any deviation will result in immediate destruction. They landed in a hidden canyon where armed people surrounded their ship as soon as they touched down. Jack and Samantha emerged with hands raised. A tall woman with dark hair pulled back in a tight braid approached them. I'm Dr. Olivia Wright. You mentioned technology that could help us? Dr. Wright. Samantha stepped forward eagerly. My parents worked with you before the quarantine. They were Daniel and Lisa Reeves. Recognition flashed in Olivia's eyes. The communications specialists. They were brilliant. Her expression softened. We heard about what happened to them. I'm sorry. I finished their work, Samantha held up her device, and improved it. We can create a secure network for all resistance cells. Olivia studied her for a moment, then nodded. Come with me. Commander Mason will want to see this immediately. They were led through a series of tunnels that opened into a vast underground complex, an old mining operation converted into a base. People moved purposefully through the corridors, carrying weapons and equipment. In a central room filled with maps and communication gear, a man stood studying a holographic display of the solar system. He had a beard now and more gray in his hair, but Jack immediately recognized Commander Alex Mason from the news broadcasts years ago. Mason looked up as they entered. His eyes were tired but still sharp with intelligence and determination. Commander, Olivia said, this is Samantha Reeves and Jack Rivera. Samantha has developed a communication system that might change everything. Mason straightened. Show me. As Samantha explained her technology, Jack saw hope grow in the commander's eyes for the first time. If this works, Mason said, when she finished, we can finally unite our forces. Earth, Mars, the Europa colony, even the mining outposts in the asteroid belt. He looked at Jack. And we'll need pilots like you to carry messages until we can fully implement the network. Jack nodded. I'm in. The council took everything from me when they bombed Chicago. My family, my future. I've been fighting back the only way I knew. How? We're all fighting, Mason said, his voice gaining strength. But now we might finally have a chance to win. The Galactic Council majors tried to break us. Instead, they forged a legend. 2 months after Samantha brought her communication technology to Mars, the human resistance had grown stronger. Her system worked better than anyone had hoped. Resistance, cells across Earth and the colonies could now talk to each other without the Council knowing. Commander Mason had used this advantage to create a united force called the Terran Liberation Front. In the main operations room of the Mars base, Mason stood before a group of resistance leaders. The room was carved from the red Martian rock and filled with maps, weapons, and communication equipment. The time has come to strike back, Mason said, his voice firm. For 5 years we've been hiding and running. Now we fight. Dr. Olivia Wright pointed to a holographic image of Earth's moon. The Council's main base is here, on the dark side of Luna. It controls the blockade around Earth and serves as their command center for this sector. And you want us to attack it? Asked a skeptical colony leader. That's suicide. Not with what we've discovered, Samantha stepped forward. She had become an important part of Mason's team. The Council's defense systems have a weakness. Their shields operate on rotating frequencies. I can predict the pattern and find a window where they're vulnerable. Jack Rivera leaned against the wall, arms crossed. In the past 2 months, he had flown dozens of missions, connecting resistance cells and delivering supplies. Even with a window in their shields, we'd need a fleet to take on their base. We have maybe 20 ships that can fight. 20 ships striking at exactly the right moment at exactly the right place, Mason said. Sometimes it's not about how hard you hit, but where you hit. The plan was risky but simple. While Samantha would disable the base's shields from a hidden location, Jack would lead a small fleet to attack the power generators. At the same time, Mason would lead a ground team to infiltrate the base and capture crucial Council intelligence. Dr. Wright would coordinate from Mars, using Samantha's communication system to keep all teams synchronized. If they succeeded, they would deal the Council their first major defeat and gain valuable information about their operations. The day of the attack came quickly. Jack sat in the cockpit of his ship, the Phoenix, leading a line of fighters hidden in a crater on Luna's surface. Beside him was a young pilot named Ryan Kelly, nervously checking his controls. First combat mission? Jack asked. Ryan nodded. I was just a kid when the quarantine started. Grew up hearing stories about people, like you and Commander Mason. Jack laughed. Don't believe everything you hear. We're just people trying to survive, same as everyone. All units, stand by. Dr. Wright's voice came through their communication system. Samantha is in position. Miles away, Samantha crouched, in a small cave with her equipment, fingers flying over the keyboard as she worked to hack into the Council's shield systems. 2 resistance fighters guarded the entrance, weapons ready. Almost there, she muttered. Their security is tough, but predictable. At the same time, Mason led his ground team through a maintenance tunnel that led to the base. They wore stolen council worker uniforms and carried hidden weapons. The tunnel was narrow and dark, with only their small lights showing the way. Remember, Mason told his team, our goal is the central data core. We get in, download everything. We can and get out, no unnecessary risks. Back in her cave, Samantha finally broke through the security. I'm in. Shield disruption in 3 minutes. It will only last for 10 minutes, so everyone needs to move fast. All ships, prepare for launch, Jack commanded. He fired up the Phoenix's engines, feeling the familiar vibration through the control stick. When Samantha gave the signal, the shield protecting the council base flickered and failed. Jack led his fighters out of the crater, streaking toward the surprise council ships that scrambled to respond. Focus on the power generators, Jack reminded his pilots as laser fire began to fill the space around them. Everything else is a distraction. The battle quickly became chaotic. Council fighters, mostly piloted by Voth and Narjans, swarmed from the base. They were better armed but surprised by the sudden attack. Jack weaved through enemy fire, his own years of smuggling making him hard to hit. Ryan, cover my right, I'm going for the primary generator. 2 council ships exploded as Ryan's shots found their marks. I've got you covered. Inside the base, alarms blared as Mason and his team fought their way toward the data core. The distraction of the space battle had worked. Many guards had been called to defend against the fighters. This way, Mason directed, following the path they had memorized from stolen blueprints. They encountered a patrol of Narcian guards and quickly stunned them with special weapons Samantha had designed to affect insectoid nervous systems. When they reached the data core, a massive room, filled with glowing servers, Mason assigned his team to defensive positions while he and another tech specialist began downloading information. Hurry, he urged as he plugged in a device Samantha had given him. We have less than 5 minutes before the shields come back online. Outside, the battle grew more intense. Several human ships had been destroyed, but they had damaged one generator, and were closing in on the main one. All fighters, this is Rivera, Jack called. Form up on me for the final run. The remaining human ships formed a tight group and dove toward the primary generator, taking heavy fire. 2 more fighters exploded, but the rest stayed on course. Now! Jack shouted, firing everything his ship had at the generator's weak point. The combined firepower of the remaining fighters struck home, and the generator erupted in a series of explosions. The lights in the council base flickered and went out just as Mason finished downloading the data. We got it. All teams. Retreat. 2 extraction points. As the emergency power came on, Mason and his team fled back through the corridors, fighting their way past confused guards. Above them, Jack and his remaining fighters were already pulling back, having achieved their objective. Samantha, status, Dr. Wright called from Mars Control. Shields will be back online in 60 seconds, Samantha reported, already packing up her equipment. Our people need to move. It was close. Mason's team barely made it to their hidden shuttle before council reinforcements arrived. In space, Jack lost 2 more fighters covering their escape, but the majority of the attack force made it away from Luna as the shields came back online. As they regrouped at a hidden asteroid base, the survivors realized what they had accomplished. For the first time since the quarantine began, humans had struck a significant blow against the Council. When Mason connected to the Mars base, Dr. Wright's face showed on the screen, her expression a mixture of relief and excitement. You did it, she said. And the data you recovered, it's even more valuable than we hoped. The Council is keeping secrets from its own people. There are species who might support us if they knew the truth. Mason looked around at the tired but proud faces of his team. Then we'll make sure they learn the truth. Today was just the beginning. On Earth, as news of the Luna battle spread, through the Resistance Network, people who had lived in fear for years began to hope again. The Galactic Council had tried to break humanity's spirit, but they had only succeeded in making it stronger. The Galactic Council majors tried to break us. Instead, they forged a legend. 1 month after the successful attack on Luna, The Terran Liberation Front had grown stronger. The data stolen from the Council base revealed something important. The 7 major species of the Council were not united in their view of humans. Some, like the reptilian Voth and insectoid Narsians, wanted to crush humans completely. Others, like the energy-based Solari and the furry Pantherons, had begun to question the harsh treatment of Earth. In the Mars base, Dr. Olivia Wright worked tirelessly with this new information. She had made contact with sympathetic members of the Ahiri, a plant-like species who served on the Council. The Ahiri representative wants to meet, Olivia told Commander Mason as they examined star charts in the control room. They say other minor species have been impressed by our victory at Luna. They've suffered under the Major's rule too. Mason looked thoughtful. It could be a trap. I don't think so. The message contained details about Council operations that weren't in the data we stole. I think they genuinely want to talk. Where would this meeting happen? A neutral trading post near Saturn. The Ahiri can travel there without raising suspicion. Mason nodded slowly. Set it up, but we'll take precautions. Jack can fly you there in the Phoenix. Meanwhile, Samantha Reeves made a disturbing discovery as she analyzed more Council files. She rushed to find Jack Rivera, who was helping repair damaged fighters from the Luna battle. Jack, she called, holding a tablet. I found something terrible. You need to see this. Jack wiped grease from his hands and took the tablet. On the screen were images of humans in strange chambers, with Narsian scientists working around them. What am I looking at? He asked, frowning. Council detention centers. On Earth, Samantha explained, her voice tight with anger. The Narsians aren't just holding human prisoners, they're experimenting on them, trying to alter their genetics. Why would they do that? From what I can tell, they're trying to create enhanced humans they can control, stronger, faster, but with reduced free will. Perfect servants. Jack's face darkened. We need to free those people. Where are these centers? I've found 3 locations so far. The main one is in what used to be Colorado. That evening, Mason called a meeting of the resistance leaders. He outlined 2 important missions. Olivia would meet with the Ahiri representative to build potential alien alliances, while Jack and Samantha would lead a team to free humans from the Colorado Detention Center. These missions could change everything, Mason told them. If we gain allies within the Council and free our people, we show the galaxy that humans won't be broken. 3 days later, Jack piloted a small team toward Earth in a captured Council transport. They wore stolen Council uniforms and carried forged identification that Samantha had created. Beside Jack sat Ryan Kelly, the young pilot who had fought well in the Luna battle. Nervous? Jack asked as they approached Earth's atmosphere. Ryan checked his weapon. Not about the fighting, just strange to be going back to Earth. I haven't been home in 3 years. They landed at a small Council outpost near the detention center. Their forged papers identified them as maintenance workers assigned to the facility. The Narsian guard barely looked at them before waving them through. Security is lighter than I expected, Samantha whispered as they walked toward the main building. They don't expect anyone to attack them here, Jack replied. They think they've beaten Earth into submission. The detention center was a large concrete structure surrounded by high walls. Inside, they found hundreds of humans in cells. Some looked ill, while others showed signs of the genetic experiments, unusual muscle growth, strange eye colors, or modified limbs. We can't free everyone at once, Samantha said, looking at the security systems. But I can disable the locks, in sections. Starting with the experiment subjects, they might help us free the others. While Samantha worked on the computer systems, Jack and Ryan moved through the facility, placing small explosives at key points as distractions. They were nearly finished when an alarm suddenly blared. We've been discovered, Ryan called over. Their communication link. Stick to the plan, Jack replied calmly. Samantha, how close are you? Almost done. The first section of cells will open in 30 seconds. Jack and Ryan hurried to the experimental section just as the doors slid open. Inside were about 50 humans with various modifications. Many looked confused, but a few immediately understood what was happening. A tall woman with unnaturally bright green eyes stepped forward. You're breaking us out? Yes, Jack said. We're with the Terran Liberation Front. Can you help us free the others? The woman nodded. My name is Kate. They made us stronger and faster, but they couldn't control our minds like they wanted. We've been waiting for a chance like this. With the enhanced humans helping, they managed to free most of the prisoners before Council security. Forces responded in full. The prisoners who could fight picked up weapons from fallen guards, while those too weak were guided to the transport ships. During the escape, Jack saw Kate lift a metal door that would have taken 3 normal people to move. What did they do to you? He asked as they ran. Tried to turn us into weapons, she replied. But now we'll be weapons against them. At the same time, on the trading post near Saturn, Olivia met with the Ahiri representative, a tall, slender being with bark-like skin and leaves growing from their arms. Dr. Wright, the alien said in a musical voice. I am Thala. Thank you for taking the risk to meet me. You took an even greater risk, Olivia replied. Why help us? Because what the Council Majors are doing is wrong. Humans are not the first species they have tried to subjugate. My own people were once treated similarly, before we agreed to serve as a minor species. But many of us have not forgotten. Thala showed Olivia records of other worlds that had faced similar treatment over thousands of years. The Majors maintain power by keeping the rest of us divided. Your victory at Luna has inspired many. For the first time, we see that the Majors can be challenged. How many species might support us? Olivia asked. Openly? Few would dare yet. But in secret, many. The Pantherans have already begun questioning the quarantine in council meetings. Even some among the Solari feel the treatment of Earth has been unjust. As Thala spoke, an urgent message came through on Olivia's communicator. The council had discovered their meeting. Voth warships were approaching the trading post. You must leave, Thala said urgently. I will claim you forced me to meet. Return to your people with what I've shared. Olivia escaped just before the Voth ships arrived. As she flew back to Mars, she received news of Jack's mission. They had freed over 300 humans from the detention center, including dozens, with enhanced abilities who were eager to join the resistance. When she reached Mars, Mason greeted her with both good and bad news. The Council is fracturing just as we hoped. The Pantharans have officially condemned the genetic experiments and withdrawn their support for the quarantine. And the bad news? Olivia asked. Mason's face was grim. The hardliners, the Voth and Narsians, have responded by launching a massive assault. They're determined to crush us once and for all. How bad? The largest fleet we've ever seen is heading for Earth. They plan to make an example of us. Mason's eyes showed not fear, but determination. But this time, we won't be fighting alone. The Galactic Council Majors tried to break us. Instead, they forged a legend. The massive Voth and Narsian fleet approached Earth with dozens of warships. They planned to end the human resistance once and for all. Commander Alex Mason watched. From the bridge of the largest human ship they had, a former council cruiser they had captured and renamed Freedom. All ships report ready, Jack Rivera said from the pilot station. But we're outnumbered 10-1. Mason nodded grimly. We just need to hold them off until Dr. Wright's plan works. Across the solar system, Olivia Wright was on a dangerous mission to Nexus Station, the seat of the Galactic Council itself. With her were Samantha Reeves and Thala, their Ahiri ally. They had traveled in a small, unmarked ship provided by sympathetic Pantherans. We'll have about an hour before they discover the false credentials, Thala said as they docked at the station. The evidence must be broadcast to the full assembly by then. Samantha checked her equipment one last time. I can hack into their communication system, but I'll need time. I'll get you that time, Olivia promised. Back at Earth, the battle had begun. The Council fleet launched its first attack, raining energy weapons down on the human defensive line. Jack led a squadron of fighters, including Ryan Kelly and Kate, the enhanced human they had rescued. Her reflexes made her an exceptional pilot. Talon Squadron, follow me, Jack ordered. Target their lead destroyer's weapon systems. The human ships fought bravely but were being pushed back. Several resistance ships exploded under the heavy fire. On the Freedom's bridge, Mason received a desperate message from the Mars colony. "We're under attack. Narsian dropships are landing troops." "Hold as long as you can," Mason replied. "Help is coming." Just when things looked darkest, new ships appeared at the edge of the battle, sleek vessels with unusual designs. A voice came over the communication system. "This is Captain Lauren of the HFY Defense Force. We stand with Earth." More ships arrived, Panther and cruisers and vessels from several minor species. The Council fleet hesitated, confused by the unexpected allies. On Nexus Station, Olivia, Samantha, and Thala had reached the main communication center. While Thala distracted the guards, Samantha quickly connected her devices to the system. "I'm in," she whispered to Olivia. "Where do you want to broadcast?" "Everywhere," Olivia said. "Every screen on this station and every Council world." Using the data they had stolen from Luna and information Thala had provided, Olivia prepared to reveal the Council Major's centuries of oppression, not just against humans, but against dozens of species. Meanwhile, in the Grand Council chamber, an emergency session was underway. The Voth Archon, Zex, addressed the gathered representatives. "The human rebellion will be crushed today," he announced. "Their quarantine was a mercy they did not appreciate. Now they will face extinction." Suddenly, every screen in the chamber changed. Olivia Wright's face appeared, calm and determined. "People of the Galactic Council," she said, "I am Dr. Olivia Wright of Earth. What you have been told about humans is false. We did not reject peaceful integration, we rejected subjugation." The screens began showing evidence, secret records of the Major's plans to strip Earth of resources, genetic experiments on humans, and most damning of all, similar treatments of other species throughout history. "The Majors have maintained power by keeping the rest of you afraid and divided," Olivia continued. "Humans are just the latest in a long line of species they have attempted to break." In the chamber, chaos erupted. Minor species representatives shouted questions at the stunned Majors. The Voth Archon roared for security to cut the broadcast, but Samantha's programming prevented it. Guards rushed into the communication center, capturing Olivia and her companions. They were brought to the Grand Chamber, where the Voth Archon faced them with rage. "You have committed treason against the Council," he hissed. "The only treason here is against the principles this Council was founded on," Olivia replied, her voice steady. "Equal representation for all species, not domination by a few." Many representatives nodded in agreement. The Pantheran delegate stood. "We withdraw from the Major Alliance. The treatment of Earth ends now." Others joined the call. The balance of power in the Council was shifting before their eyes. In desperation, the Voth Archon drew a weapon, aiming at Olivia. Humans must be eliminated before they poison the galaxy with their defiance. Before he could fire, Jack Rivera burst into the chamber with Kate and a team of resistance fighters. They had fought their way to Nexus Station when they heard Olivia was captured. Kate moved with enhanced speed, disarming the Archon before he could pull the trigger. "It's over," Jack told the stunned Voth leader. "Your own people are turning against you." At Earth, the tide of battle had turned. With their unexpected allies, the human fleet pushed back the Voth and Narsian forces. When word reached them of the events at Nexus Station, many Council ships stopped fighting. Some even turned against the hardliners. 1 week later, a historic session of the reformed Galactic Council took place. The distinction between major and minor species was abolished. Each world would have an equal voice in galactic affairs. "Commander," Mason stood before the Assembly as Earth's first representative. "Humanity does not seek revenge for what was done to us," he said. "We seek a new beginning, a true galactic community based on mutual respect." The HFY representative Thala was the first to approve. "Humans have shown us that the strongest chains can be broken." Perhaps that was what the Majors feared most. 1 year later, a memorial was dedicated on Luna, at the site of humanity's first victory. Jack, Samantha, Olivia, and Mason gathered with representatives from dozens of species. The stone monument bore a simple inscription. "They tried to break us instead. They forged a legend." Jack looked up at the stars. now open to human exploration. "What's next for you?" he asked Mason. "Diplomatic missions to worlds we've never seen," Mason replied. "And you?" Jack smiled. "Samantha and I are leading trade expeditions. Turns out my smuggling routes are now valuable shipping lanes." Nearby, Olivia spoke with Thala about a new cultural exchange program. Kate and her fellow enhanced humans had formed a special peacekeeping force, using their abilities to help worlds that had suffered under the old council's rule. As the ceremony ended, Mason addressed the gathered crowd. 5 years ago, the council thought they could break humanity's spirit. They didn't understand what humans are capable of when pushed to our limits. "We don't break. We adapt, we fight, and we overcome." He gestured to the diverse group of species standing together. They wanted to isolate us from the galaxy. Instead, they united the galaxy itself. What was meant to be our end became a new beginning, not just for Earth, but for all worlds who yearned for freedom. The former council majors, now just equals in the new alliance, watched with a mixture of respect and apprehension as humans began exploring the stars in earnest. No longer as servants or subjects, but as partners whose indomitable spirit had changed the course of galactic history forever.